So, improving communication. You should be familiar with this acronym. It stands for Read the Following Manual. Bet you thought I was going to use a dirty word there. That's an assumption we all make when we've seen or done something repeatedly. Just maybe we think we know more than we do, or maybe we're just being macho. Today's journey begins with making assumptions. Through this webinar, I will share with you a few stories and some simple examples about a solution that CAPEC offers. A solution which is intended to help you reduce assumptions made by your consumers by improving your ability to relay the necessary product assembly and/or usage information to them. First, let me share a quick and relevant story from some time that I spent at SolidWorks World last week. This is the bathroom in the hotel that we stayed at. My story actually starts in the shower, and more specifically with the faucet. I'm sure that you can guess where this is going. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Maybe this has happened to you before. The fortunate thing is that nobody was harmed due to the miscommunications in this story. I jumped in, I turned the shower on and left the handle pointing a little bit closer to the hot side down here, and waited for a second before I jumped in, just to make sure it was warm. And then for clarity, I've zoomed in on this picture, and I've actually scribbled on, a couple letters to show you where the hot and the cold is, just to kind of clarify the picture a little bit. I think the installer actually could have used this picture while he was plumbing, because when I jumped in, I got a pretty cold blast of miscommunication, and it was served up real quick. I made an assumption that the installer of this shower knew his hot from his cold, based on the assumption that I knew that the red color and the word hot meant that warm water should be flowing from the shower head when the handle resided down near the hot position. I could be wrong about that, at least for this shower I was, because this is the way that it was installed. I know of at least one installer who could have used some easier to comprehend instructions. What really gets me is that he didn't even test his work before he went home. What I want you to do for a second is imagine yourself as that plumber, and just think for a few seconds. What are some reasons you could come up with for having made this simple error? I'll give you a second to think about that. I came up with a few myself, and some of the reasons that I came up with, maybe the guy was new on the job or even new to plumbing. Who knows? Could be the first time working with this particular product. Maybe this was his last job of the day and he had to pick up his kid from school, or had some other time constraints that were weighing more heavily on his mind than making sure that the faucet turned the right directions. The instruction manual could have been for a different product, but as happens with many companies, the product is so close in nature to the other products that they just reuse the manual and figure, the consumer can figure it out. You suppose that it's possible that this faucet could have come connected from the manufacturer backwards, so the manufacturer is the one that put the valve in wrong? Possible, I suppose. How about a language barrier? Maybe the instruction manual was written in English, and the installer actually didn't speak English as a native language. Maybe he didn't know how to read English, or maybe he was illiterate and colorblind, in which case, you'd never be able to know which was hot and which was cold. In that case, an instruction manual with all words and no pictures would have really not helped anything. I could go on, but all the reasons I've given could be looked upon as mere excuses, or possibly as valid reasons. Also, keep in mind that this webinar is focused for high-tech industries, so aspects of your product may be far more complex in this example. Regardless whether you're a designer, an engineer, a manufacturer, or a technical writer, I'm pretty sure that you want to open the channels of communication for anyone who may touch your product down the line.